Okay. You can see me. Okay, I think we're ready to go now. A few little technical difficulties. But now, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Welcome, everybody. And like I said, the job of a rabbi is never over. We have generally, we're learning all the mitzvot according to the Kabbalah, the deeper meaning. So we did so far, we did hatching, matching, and now we're going to do dispatching. We did all the mitzvahs associated with hatching, with birth and bris and baby naming and pidyon haben and birthdays and bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. Then we moved on to matching, which is the wedding, which we spent maybe a couple of months now on. And now we're going to go to the other glorious part of life, which is a very much part of life, is called dispatching. So I'm hatching, matching, and dispatching. Today we're going to talk about dispatching, and there are many mitzvot, many laws associated with the end of life. And as Jews, there's always many good deeds to do. And there's so many good deeds that we can do associated with end of life. And we'll talk a little bit about the mystical side of it, the Kabbalah of it. So first of all, just to tell you how many mitzvahs there are, there was once a poor man who comes into a very stingy man's home, a rich man, very rich man. He has lots of money, but he's very stingy. And he comes to the door and he asks the guy for tzedakah. So the guy says, I can't give you tzedakah. I don't have any money. The guy says, maybe you have something for me to eat. He says, I don't really have much for you to eat, but you know what? It's a mitzvah. He was a religious, stingy guy, Come on in. And he goes into his fridge, the rich man, he finds this one old, stinky piece of fish in the fridge, rotten piece of fish. And no one's eating it in the house anyways. And he's so stingy that he couldn't get himself to throw it out. So he says, I got a good deal now. I can give it to the poor man and have a mitzvah out of it, so we'll give it to the poor man. So he gives to the poor man the piece of fish. And the poor man, he hasn't eaten in days. He gobbles up the fish. He thanks the rich man so much, but it's not a good piece of fish. And as he's eating it, the stomach starts to hurt, right? So he goes home and he's rushed to the hospital. So the rich man hears about his wife comes home. The rich man says, my wife, I have something to do. The wife says, what? I heard that the poor man got very sick from my fish. Don't tell anyone. But the poor man got sick. I'm going now to visit him in the hospital. I have a mitzvah of visiting the sick. So he goes out, the rich man goes to visit the poor man in the hospital. But unfortunately, the poor man got so sick that he passed away. This guy the rich man was on the Chevre Kadisha. He was on the burial society. So his wife says, where are you going? So the rich man says to his wife, I have another mitzvah to do. What's the mitzvah? I have now to go and prepare the dead, the Chevre Kadisha, to prepare him for the funeral. Wow. So he goes, he spends a whole day taking care of it. Then afterwards, his wife says, where are you going now? He says, I'm going to the funeral. There's another mitzvah now. And then a few hours later, his wife says, where are you going now? He says, I'm busy now too. He says, now I have to go and visit the mourners. They're all mourning for the passing of this poor man. And the rich man turns to his wife and says, my dear wife, he says, isn't this incredible? What a deal I got. I have one stinky piece of fish and I have 10 mitzvahs that I got out of it. Visiting the sick, washing the dead, escorting the dead, the mitzvah of visiting the mourners, right? Nichum avelim, comforting the mourners. One piece of fish and so many mitzvahs. I got a major deal out of the thing. But the truth of the matter is, the reason why I'm telling you all this, because there are so many mitzvahs that we have as Jews. We're a very, very sensitive society. So we could do many, many mitzvahs associated with the death of a person. visiting the sick at the end of life, and then afterwards taking care of them when they pass away, and then the burial and the escorting of the dead and the comforting the mourners. So we're going to talk a little bit about these mitzvahs. First of all, just a general introduction. Is death a sad thing or a happy thing? Something to think about. Is a moment when a person passes away, is it a sad moment, tragedy, or is it something to celebrate? Celebrate the person's life, as many people say, right? We know that that was a famous rabbi. His name was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who wrote the holy book of the Zohar, the book of splendor, one of the main Kabbalistic works. And he said that on his day of passing, they should make it not a sad day, but a yontif. He said, he called it a hilulah. By the Sephardim, actually, when anyone passes away, they don't call it yortzeit or they call it the day of the yortzeit, they call it the hilulah. Hilulah comes from the word hallel, to praise God, it sounds like it's so he said that it's a holiday. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, in the day of my passing, don't make it a sad day, make it a hilulah. In fact, we all know that on the day of his passing, which is Lag BaOmer, on the Jewish calendar, it's a very joyous day. People go out into the field and they make celebrations, and the kids come out and they make parties. In the place of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's burial, unfortunately, this year was a mega tragedy. We all know that this year, dozens of people were trampled to death in that place of his burial. But that's where does that come from? Because he said, come to my burial place on the day of my passing and celebrate with me. So they have music and they dance and they have what's known as the Hilulah. Unfortunately, it was this year. It was a very tragic time, but generally, hopefully this year they'll fix it up, make it better, make it safer, etc. But overall, he said, make the day of passing a happy day. But to most people, we call it the laws of mourning. We don't call it the laws of the holiday, right? It's called the laws of mourning. That means it's not a happy thing. But the Talmud actually addresses it. The Talmud says, that sort of poses a question. When do you celebrate more? When the ship arrives in the port to pick up the merchandise, and it's an empty ship and it's coming to pick up the merchandise, and it goes for a couple of days and the guy goes, the people go. Do you celebrate that? Or do you celebrate when the ship leaves, after it's accumulated all the merchandise, has brought all the stuff onto the ship, and now it leaves the port? So what's a greater joy, the embarking or the disembarking? When the ship arrives, you don't know if they'll make a business, if they'll accomplish what they have to do. But you would think, the Talmud says, that you would celebrate the disembarking even more than the embarking. Obviously, if somebody dies young, or there's a tragedy, or if a person lives a full, rich life, they live in this world 120 years, and they accomplished their mission. They built an empire. They built a family. They did so many good deeds, and they go away from this world. They have so many nice things that they've accomplished. Is it really, should it be tragic? Does the Talmud ask that question? Obviously, the tragedy is for the people that are survivors, people that are left behind. We feel bad. We're going to miss this person, right? So that's the tragedy. But in the big scheme, in terms of the mission in life and the accomplishment, it's perhaps why Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, don't make it a day of sadness. Make my passing a day of celebration, a day to celebrate my life, what I accomplished. So that's especially by tzaddikim. By tzaddikim, you understand, because they're righteous people. A righteous person lives a beautiful life. Maybe the other people are troubled people, not perfect, imperfect people. Like most of us, we're imperfect. We're a work in progress, So maybe we don't complete all of our life missions that we have to accomplish. It might be different. But it's interesting that the Talmud asks that question. Where should the celebration be? By the embarking or the disembarking? So when we look at it from a spiritual point of view, the passage of life was really part of it. It's part of a process. We all know that the Talmud says that a soul, before it comes down, soul was there already before, right? And it says this about korchat achai, the Pirkei Avot says about korchat achai, we're forced to live, about korchat ameis, we're forced to die. What does that mean? It means that the soul, before it comes down to this world, in paradise, the soul is up in the heavens. It's beautiful up there. It's nice sunshine. It's basking in the glory of God. It's a nice beach, up in the heavens, and everything is beautiful, and it's birds are chirping, and it's nice up there, right? So the soul, it says, gets very comfortable. And Hashem turns to the soul and says, Moshe, Chanala, it's your turn now to go down to earth. So soul says, oh, I'm cozy here. I like it up here. It's nice. It's beautiful up in the heavens. It's like Miami Beach, we're sitting on the beach, and no worry in the world. Hashem says, no. You have a job to do. You have a mission to do. You have to go down to this world to accomplish A, B, and C. So it says about korchat achai. We're forced to be born. But once we're born and we come to this world, it's a little tough, but then we get comfortable here too. Start liking it. We get there. We make a little, we're comfortable. We make a little money. We have little assets. We retire. And then Hashem comes back to the soul, says, don't get too comfortable down here. You accomplished a lot of things. You did a lot of mitzvahs. You lived a beautiful life. But now is your turn to come back to heaven. So the soul also says, now hold on. I like it down here. I'm comfortable. I don't want to go through the throes of death. Hashem says, no. You did what you had to do. You accomplished a beautiful life. Now I need you back to me. So in both cases, we're forced, right? Now, when the baby is born, he cries. And when the person dies, they cry. There's always crying going on, right? That's what the Pirkei Avot says about korchat ameis. So when we die, it's a transition. Hashem tells the soul, you need to come back where you came from. So if you know the big picture, and you know that a soul has a mission, and you know it's time to go. So for the person themselves, they come back to heaven, and they're up there, and it's beautiful again when they come up to heaven. There's a husband and wife once many years ago that passed away. They were both in a crash. They were both 90 years old bicycling, and they went down a tunnel, got hit by a car, both of them. They ended up in heaven. They come to heaven together. Nice, husband and wife, they come together, they find themselves in heaven over there. Now they're flying, their souls. They come up there and it's beautiful. It's green grass. It's like a golf course. It's a country club. Everything is fantastic. And they come up there, and the angel says, I have to show you this place. You're going to love it. They said, well, but we liked it down there. I said, don't worry, you're going to love it even more here. Just give a look. Look, you see how beautiful scenery is? Beautiful. So green. You've never seen such green in your life. The sky is so blue. You've never seen it so blue in your life. And he takes them around. He shows them the whole golf course. It's the most beautiful golf course in the world. Puts Mar-a-Lago, whatever, to shame. And they go up there and everything's beautiful. And he says, come, I have to show you the clubhouse. You'll love it. Angel says to the husband and wife, comes in the clubhouse. I mean, this is a feast, a ballroom, all the best foods, all the schmaltziest foods, all the the stuff that you couldn't eat your whole life down here on earth because you were on a diet. Up there, you don't have to worry about diets. There's no need to worry about diets up there. Everything you want, you have. It's physical, spiritual, it's studying Torah. It's fantastic. And the husband starts eating the smorgasbord. The smorgasbord. It's to die for. You're dead already, so it's okay. You can die for it. Right? So incredible. And the angel says, no, you guys like it? So the husband, if he's eating so much, he goes into a fit. Starts crying and screaming. He's pounding his fists on the ground like a baby. And the wife says, what are you doing? The archangel, Michael or Gabriel, whoever was there, says, what are you doing? Why are you crying? This is such a beautiful place. He says, no. He says, I'm angry at my wife. He says, why are you angry at your wife? He says, if not for blasting bran muffins that I ate for the last 10 years, I could have been up here 10 years ago. If not for her keeping me healthy with a diet, I could have been up here already 10 years ago. So we come up there, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. Thing is, we don't know down here what's up there. So we're afraid. We're afraid of what we have a lot of anxiety. A lot of anxiety about the world to come. People are scared. What's up there? We don't know. But what we're taught that it's a beautiful place of this. So the soul, and the day that it dies, for the people that are survived, they have to mourn. They feel that they're lacking. They feel they're missing. Feel that a loved one, they can't hug that person anymore. They can't. But the many places it speaks about death. It's like a diamond. You lose a diamond, so you're very sad that you lost it. The diamond itself is not lost. The diamond knows where it is, right? It's conscious of wherever it is. So the same thing is when you lose the loved one knows where they are. They're in heaven. They know exactly where they are in a good place. It's just for the living. The process of mourning really is mostly about us, about the living, for us to show our honor, our respect, and how much we miss the person. We don't want to feel comfortable with say, they're in a better place now. It's okay. For the soul itself, they're in a good place. But us, we have to miss them. It has to hurt us that they're gone. And that's what the process of mourning, many mitzvot that we do, is to show how much we love them. When you love someone, you cry when you lose them. Even though they're in a good place, and it's still hard. You're missing them. Right? Someone once came to Eli Wiesel and said, Eli, you studied so much about the Holocaust and all of that. Maybe you could explain us, why did the Holocaust happen? What's the reason? So Eli said, I know the reason, he said, but I'm not going to tell you. If you know the reason why the Holocaust happened, you can't tell me the reason? Says, I can't tell you, because if I tell you, you'll become a Nazi. Nazi? If you give me, I just want to be comfortable with life to understand what's going on. You have the reason, you can't tell it to me? He says, yeah, you become a Nazi if I tell you. Because if I tell you, you'll understand why 6 million people need to die. There's a reason, he said. But once you know the reason, you won't miss them anymore. You'll say, it was meant to be. It was supposed to be. That is a Nazi. Your job is to say, why? I don't understand it. It hurts me that they're gone. I miss them. The reason? Yeah, God has a reason, he says. But you're not allowed to know the reason. Because the moment you know the reason, you'll say, oh, whatever happens in this world, that's the way it's supposed to be. Then you can't empathize. You can't feel anymore. You don't miss these people anymore. You don't cry anymore. Yes, I can't give you the reasons all. In a small sense, the same thing is with us too. We know that there is a bigger picture. We know that the souls of the dead, they go to a better place. But the Torah tells us we have a mitzvah to mourn. So even though Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said the special cases, there's a bright side to it. There's a holiday aspect of it. But most of the traditions of Judaism is not celebratory. Right? We don't have like a party. That's not what the laws of mourning. The laws of mourning is to express grief. And so many of the mitzvahs, we rip our garments, we go to the funeral, we hear the thud of earth hit the casket. Everything is very stark. Everything is very real. We need to feel the pain of it. And psychologically, by the way, if you don't express grief, it's unhealthy too. But besides for that, the idea is that we should etch it in our hearts and miss the people that we love. So even though there are great reasons of why everything happens, that's not what we in Judaism, what we emphasize more is the void, the hurt, the missingness, and all the traditions and all the laws of Torah. They sort of, emphasize that, and they bring it out. They bring out the grief, the pain, the hurt of missing a loved one. And if somebody goes through a shiva or whatever and says, yeah, it's okay, everything. No. That's a problem. You need to cry. If you love someone, you need to miss someone. Yeah. Famous lyric in one of the songs. If I never would have loved, I never would have cried, right? Crying and loving go hand in hand. So when you have someone that you love and they die, you need to grieve them, grieve that you're missing them in your life, even though you know that they're in a good place. And that's a comfort. That is a comfort. So that's what we do. We comfort the mourners with all these ideas. But it's a great danger to just say it's a holiday. As Jews, we have to understand that there is a holiday aspect of it. In fact, in a house of mourning, we don't say tachanun, which is a sad prayer, because we consider it a moed. A moed means a auspicious time. It's a special time when a person dies, because that's when the soul goes to heaven and they go into a good place. But for us, we need to experience grief and experience the missing of these people. And that's all the laws associate the mitzvahs regarding the end of life is to reinforce those things. So the next couple of weeks, we're going to cover the different mitzvahs that are associated with the end of life, and to bring deeper meaning into all those things they do in the shiva houses and in the cemetery, and the 7-day period, the 30-day period, the year period, the yard site. We're going to talk about all those things. And we're going to try to uncover all the Jewish mysticism involved in it. Because you need to turn to Jewish mysticism, because here we're talking about a soul without a body. How does that work? And so the next couple of weeks, we're going to be covering that. So people are just dying to get into this class, because the subject is going to be about death. So wish everybody a great week. It's a holiday week, whatever. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem, still having the pre-Shabbos Zoom, so you're all welcome to that. Anybody have any questions of what we spoke about today so far?
No, Rabbi, I don't have a question. I just want to tell you
Rosa, I can't hear you for some reason.
Am I unmute?
Try again, Rosalie.
Unmute.
You're on mute, Rosalie. Unmute yourself. Where did Rosalie go? You lost your face too.
Oh, no, I know my computer.
Okay, we hear you. You can say what you want to say. Say what you want to say now.
Oh, it's not a question. I just want to say how excellent your book was on 7 Conversations with Jerry.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
So I highly recommend it, and lots of good insights.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I've received a lot of good feedback for the book. Baruch Hashem. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
I once heard that in heaven, there's no space and no time.
Right.
So one day you'll explain to me how we can survive there. I know it's just a soul.
I'll tell you what that means in the next classes. Okay.
Thank you.
We're gonna delve into that.
Okay.
Okay. It's almost like Zoom, you know.
Yeah.
No space because
Yeah.
you're down the street then, but you're here. How does that work? You could be there and here at the same time. That's no space. And there's no time when we study this class. It's like the time goes by, we don't even know where we are. That's higher than time and space. But we'll talk to the subject itself in the next couple of weeks, okay?
Good Shabbos, everybody.
Okay, go ahead, Aline.
And I was just very upset with that first story. Didn't he feel hurtful that he actually killed a person and then he had all those things to do afterwards?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, it's a horrible story. It's the irony of some people that they're prepared to do. They justify their evil ways by saying, "Look how many mitzvahs I have." Right? Sometimes people could be doing mitzvahs a whole day, and it's all avedis. And sometimes
That's what bothers.
Sometimes there are people who do avedis and they're mitzvahs.
That's right.
How's
Yes.
that? How's that? Sometimes
Okay.
you need to save someone's life, right? So you break the Shabbos, you break all the laws to save a life. So that's avedis, which are mitzvahs. And sometimes there are mitzvahs which are avedis. Like this guy, he in order to save himself a couple of dollars, he killed this guy, right? He gave him this stinky fish, and he thought he was doing mitzvahs, but he wasn't doing mitzvahs because
and that bothers me.
That's a good point. Yeah. Sonia, you wanted to say something, Sonia?
Yes. I am even more confused now. Many years ago, when I was escaping the socialistic country of Czechoslovakia, I found myself in Israel in a Kfar Masaryk, in a kibbutz.
Right.
And when I arrived, they were very welcoming because it was the news that our country was occupied by so many countries. And they invited me for a beautiful wedding. Mm-hmm. And it was at the kibbutz. And the first time I saw Mesiba like that.
Wow.
And about 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, the groom, because after the wedding, he had to go to tzava, to army.
Right.
He passed away. He was killed.
Wow.
And suddenly at the kibbutz, they made another mesiba. They said, we have to celebrate his life. And I never experienced anything like this. Right. They were singing through their tears. They were dancing through the tears, and I never experienced anything like this in my life. Is this still happening?
No, well, like I said, the Jewish way primarily is to mourn. And look, we also need to celebrate the life of the person, but the first thing we need to do is mourn. That's the Jewish way. I'm not going to say that. There were exceptions to the rule. Was like Rab Shimon Bar Yochai. He was a tzaddik. He was a very righteous person, high level. But a regular person that dies, you have to go through the mourning, to do the shiva and sitting and mourning and crying. That's the normal Jewish way. Yeah, but they say hazorim b'dima Those who plant with seed shall reap with joy. So we need to go through the tears, but eventually it leads us to a place of inner contentment and inner joy. That's the goal. If after we mourn somebody, we become greater and stronger through that. But I wouldn't reckon. And I know in some cultures they do this kind of like a party that's not the Jewish way. It might have been the kibbutz, because it was like a sort of it was maybe a socialist kibbutz or whatever. Okay, so that's what it is. Chevra, have a great Shabbos.
Thank you.
Shabbos.
Shabbos, and see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See you next